The leader of the Republicans in the state house passes away. I'll share some memories of Hugh McKean as we look ahead to what happens to his seat and power within the party. Most of you have not voted yet, so get your ballots ready and let's just vote together. We'll review 2 ballot issues dealing with state income tax. The 3 counties that are ending the Tri-County Health Department prepare to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars more to go solo. Teaching students about topics they want to learn about.
My film is a short film about blindness.
We visit a school in Colorado Springs helping students tell their own stories. It's Marshall in for Kyle. You decide if that's a trick or a treat. Next. What's next is a question that has multiple meanings following the death of Republican House Minority Leader Hugh McKean. What's next for his family and friends coping with the death of a man too young? He was 55 and died of a heart attack yesterday morning. And what's next for his House district in Loveland that he was going to represent for another 2 years, and for his party that he was expected to continue to lead at the Capitol? McKean was selected as State House Minority Leader right after the November 2020 election. It was close. He beat out a fellow Republican by just 2 votes. Last year, he beat back a no-confidence vote from more conservative members of his caucus. And most recently, in June, he beat a primary challenger to keep his seat. McKean was unopposed in next week's election. It's too late to replace his name on the ballot with someone else. Instead, by the end of November, the Larimer County Republican Party will have a vacancy committee pick someone to serve his full 2-year term. Those committees are party insiders picking, not the general public. And as we saw on the June primary ballot, when a Republican candidate was picked by the caucus or assembly, those candidates tended to be more extreme right. Next week, after the election, the new House Republican members will meet to select new leadership. It does not automatically go to McKean's number 2. That was former State Rep Tim Geithner, who resigned this month. A little more than 1 in 10 of you have already returned your mail ballot, 14%. Today was the recommended date to mail it back, and know that it would be received by your county clerk in time. If you've not mailed it yet, take it to a drop box. Since most of you have not returned your ballots yet, go grab them. Let's just vote. Time to review a couple more statewide ballots issues together, which I learned is particularly helpful to Mrs. Sutterer's history classes at Littleton High School. Let's start with Proposition 121, the shortest question on the ballot about lowering the state income tax. If only the entire Colorado ballot could be as short and simple as Proposition 121. A yes vote means you want the state's income tax to drop to 4.4%. It's currently 4.55%. A no vote means the state income tax stays at 4.55%. A couple quick footnotes. 2 years ago, voters statewide passed a measure dropping the state income tax to 4.55%. It was 4.63%. And in years we get Tabor refunds, one of the ways the state can get money back to us is by dropping the state income tax to 4.5%. That has happened the last 2 years and is projected to do so the next 3 years. But that could change. So what does a reduced state income tax mean for you and for what the state pays for with that money? Let's start with what you would get. This is a table included in the State Blue Book that shows the tax break you would see based on your income level. Everyone pays less, but the more you earn, the more you're keeping. These tax brackets, up to $69,000, represent 3 out of 4 Colorado taxpayers. So 75% of Coloradans would get a tax break of $63 or fewer dollars. Where do state income tax dollars go? The state's general fund, which is controlled by state lawmakers. State income tax made up 68% of the general fund last year. The biggest recipients of general fund money are healthcare, K-12 and higher education, human services, corrections, and courts. Fewer dollars from state income tax could mean fewer dollars for those areas. However, in Tabor years, like last year, when the state collected more than it's allowed, the budget for these areas are not impacted. Those in favor of Proposition 121 want to rein in spending by government and allow you to keep money that recently has had to be refunded to you because of Tabor. Those against worry about the years we don't have a Tabor refund and the cuts to programs that the state is bringing in less than it's allowed. There's a separate ballot issue, Proposition 123, that also deals with state income tax. It's not related to 121, but we need to talk about them together. Proposition 123 is about funding affordable housing. A yes vote would take a portion of the state's income tax and use that money for new affordable housing programs. A no vote makes no changes to how state lawmakers have to spend money. Proposition 123 creates a new fund for affordable housing programs using 0.1% of the state's taxable income. That's estimated to be about $290 million a year. That money would be spent in several buckets. Money for local governments and nonprofits to buy land for affordable housing. Money for new low and middle income rental units, including some where renters can share in the equity of the unit. Down payment assistance for first-time homebuyers. Assistance for those experiencing homelessness, rent help and eviction assistance. And grants to local governments for their planning departments' work on housing projects. For a local government to qualify for any of this money, that city or county needs to commit to increasing affordable housing by 3% each year and have a fast-track approval process for affordable housing projects. If those local governments fail to meet those requirements, they would be temporarily ineligible from applying for any of the money. Here's how it impacts state spending and our potential Tabor refunds. Proposition 123 would not count against Tabor, so this would basically allow the state to keep $290 million more than it would otherwise be allowed. In Tabor refund years, like next year, the state estimates it would be 43 fewer refunded dollars per taxpayer. The year after, 86 fewer refunded dollars. In years where there is not a Tabor refund and there may not be enough revenue for everything the state has to pay for, state lawmakers could choose to reduce some of the affordable housing funds to provide money elsewhere in the budget, like healthcare, education, human services, corrections, and courts. We should all strive to be talked about in life, how Hugh McKean is being remembered in death. When the leader of the State House Republicans died yesterday morning, colleagues on both sides of the aisle shared similar stories. McKean, someone who fought for his party, but also cared about your day, your family. Some of my favorite political stories involve McKean. In 2019, he wanted stoplights to go from red to yellow before turning green. You know, a get off your phone and pay attention warning. He had to kill his own bill before it was even heard because that idea is illegal. Department of Transportation does not allow that. Last year, while working from home, I struggled to find a story. It was 90 minutes before next, and I still had nothing. I got a heads up that the math was complete on one of McKean's bills. It's called a fiscal note and details how much a bill could cost the state to implement. McKean, a fiscal conservative, had a bill that would cost the state nearly $2.7 billion. I called him, told him I needed to talk to him about being a fiscal conservative with a less than conservative idea, and as you can see, he agreed to the interview. And then there was earlier this month, his text. You don't call, you don't write. Then he goes on to congratulate me on the birth of my daughter. Hugh McKean was an approachable guy, someone who on the outside did not always show what he was dealing with on the inside. He was the head of the House Republicans when there are clearly two different Republican parties in the House. His job as leader required him to fight for Republican issues, at the same time fighting his own party. There was a chest bump this year on the House floor with another Republican, an effort last year by Trump Republicans to oust him as leader, and a primary in June from someone farther to his right. Hugh McKean, who died of a heart attack, had the heart to beat back his own party. Breaking up is hard to do. Turns out it's also expensive.
We don't want this to double the cost for all of our residents.
3 counties are left footing the bill after dissolving a decades-old health department. And a youth film program encourages us to see life through new perspectives. They want teens to share their stories on the big screen. Next. Just 2 months left until 3 counties must start 1 new health department each. Tri-County Health will dissolve at the end of the year. Douglas, Arapahoe, and Adams County need a plan for how to provide services from restaurant inspections to vaccines to death certificates. Reporter Cole Sullivan checked in on how much the new departments will cost taxpayers.
In the county that started all this, a newborn health department has already opened. And Douglas County has no regrets about pulling out of Tri-County Health.
The residents of the county lost nothing and maybe saved a few dollars.
The director of its new health department says taxpayers will save about $800,000 compared to the check Douglas used to write Tri-County every year.
So the main reason for that is that we've designed this health department to meet the needs of Douglas County right now.
It saved the money by cutting programs it says few people used and by contracting out clinical services like family planning and immunizations.
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of places to get immunizations in the county.
Compare that to Arapahoe County, where the new health director says it'll still provide essentially the same services as before.
Our goal is that the community doesn't notice a whole lot that's different.
It will cost more than it used to pay Tri-County, about $800,000 more per year, plus nearly $3 million in one-time startup costs.
We've tried to keep it close to what an annual allocation would have been to Tri-County. There's still a loss of economies of scale.
Adams County, the third county that needs a new health department, has big ideas that come with a big price tag. They used to pay Tri-County Health $4 million per year. New plans could up the county cost to $10 million. Documents outline plans for more staff and mental health, equity, harm reduction, and more. A spokesperson says it won't cost taxpayers anything, at least not this year. The county got one-time grant money to make up the budget gap for 2023. It's hoping to get some other grants next year, so taxpayers aren't on the hook for the rest of it.
Adams County is right that most health department budget money comes from grants, state and federal funding. The county is hoping that it will get more grants once it opens in January and over the course of the year. But regardless, taxpayers will have to start picking up the tab for the difference come 2024.
2024 is a ways away. We just don't know how much. Could you imagine? I know that I'm putting you on the spot here, Cole, but could you imagine budgeting into the future with this thought of like, I'll take care of next year now. We'll worry about 2024 when we get there. I won't put a thought into it before then.
Well, and they're developed a budget for a $27 million health department. They say we've got revenues for 17, $10 million that we can use this coming year. Next year, they're hoping that they get more of that one-time funding to help make up that gap.
And this is a county that's had a lawsuit with its treasurer. So I hope they're better with money than we're leading on right now. So thanks, Cole. Last week, you chipped in to help a Colorado nonprofit serving the survivors of the East Troublesome Fire. Kyle has an update on our latest Word of Thanks campaign.
Thank you for what you've done for the Grand County Wildfire Emergency Fund over the last week. It's been 2 years since the East Troublesome Fire burned through that community, and folks up there were telling us they kind of felt forgotten and left behind after the devastating Marshall Fire. Well, you've raised more than $20,000 to add to the funds remaining in that account. About 80% of them have already been dispersed to people in the community in need, but they have months and years of recovery yet to come. So thank you so much for that. Your Word of Thanks micro-giving campaigns, 125 straight weeks now, have raised $9.7 million for Colorado's nonprofits. If you know of a great one that we haven't featured yet, email me next@9news.com, and I'll be back on Wednesday with a fresh idea.
I hope you're enjoying your evening. I'm meteorologist Kathy Sabin, and we say goodbye to the month of October with sunshine and temperatures in the mid to upper 60s, way above average. And we'll see these numbers again tomorrow as we welcome in November. We do have a storm system taking shape off to the west that will bring mountain snow midweek and potentially a rain-snow mix to Denver as early as Thursday. For now, with the storm track to the north, all we're seeing is the leading edge of this system in the form of high and mid-layer clouds. We have a beautiful night up over the higher terrain, and we're going to add to that snowpack starting Wednesday night into Thursday with that Pacific cold front on the way. We're looking for 3 to 6 inches of snow above 8,000 feet. No winter weather or travel advisories posted yet, but that may be changing. And as the system crosses the Continental Divide, moves across the Front Range, Thursday a rain-snow mix is possible, leading us into a chilly day on Friday with highs in the 40s. Evening temperatures slowly sliding into the 50s with the setting sun, but it's all about the little ghouls and goblins out trick-or-treating. Temperatures in the mid-50s at 6 p.m., dropping into the mid-40s with fair skies and light winds by 9 p.m. Beautiful start to November with temperatures close to 70 Tuesday and Wednesday, cooler with a rain-snow mix late Thursday, clearing out on Friday, and then we're back to sunshine with mid to upper 50s for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, Marshall.
A youth film academy takes self-expression to a new level, giving students the chance to tell their stories on screen. Grab your popcorn and some of the candy you're about to hand out. We've got a front row seat. Next. Carved or CGI? Your guess. When you watch a movie, you pick something that interests you. What about taking what interests you and making a movie? Our Byron Reed takes us to that unique program.
And it's an interesting experience.
The ability to listen is an important part of being able to tell a story.
I'm actually more of a writer, and I but I do really just love listening to people talk.
Mitch Armandano and Madison Legg are filmmakers who wanted to have their voices heard.
My film is a short film about blindness, because I've been legally blind my entire life.
And my film was called Under the Wire. It was about my brother's suicide attempt when we were both 15 years old.
These two produced films through a program called the Youth Documentary Academy.
So we got the peanut butter.
A film school in Colorado Springs that trains students how to direct and produce their own documentary films on topics they want to talk about.
Since we're all teenagers, we've just started thinking about our futures, college, jobs, and we all have anxiety over, well, can we actually do this?
You shouldn't act like it isn't there.
The main part of it is an interview between myself and my brother, giving a perspective into why he couldn't go through with committing suicide, and also what was going through his mind.
They come up with the stories, and we as professionals go out and support them in the filmmaking process.
Mari Moxley is the Academy's program director. She says the documentaries are focused on teens connecting with adults through the lens of a camera.
The teens, they need to know that adults are listening, but I think the adults need to look to the teens to learn how to use their voices and how to listen and be empathic.
Their mission is to feature stories through the eyes of young people.
I like finding new and creative ways to tell stories.
As a way of talking about tough topics through the art of storytelling.
It is very therapeutic, and all the conversations that happened in my film, it definitely would not have happened without the film medium at all.
For Next, I'm Byron Reed.
The Youth Documentary Academy will be showcasing this year's films at the Gen Z Film Festival in Colorado Springs this weekend. Perhaps nothing scarier on Halloween than a bear in your trash can. A costume only a Coloradan could love. Next. Well, the most Colorado thing we saw today is Halloween related, a trashy Halloween costume. Crystal in Uray says her costume was inspired by the Western Slope Bears always rifling through local garbage cans. If you see something that screams Colorado, email it to us at next@9news.com.